Coming up, mixed reaction to the end of a mask mandate on public transit systems.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The Biden administration may appeal a judge's ruling that overturned the federal mask requirement on planes, trains, and other forms of public transit. But as of tonight, the rule is no more. CBS's Naomi Ruckham reports from New York.
The White House may challenge a court order that ended the mask requirement on public transportation. The Justice Department will appeal the decision if the CDC concludes masks are still necessary to protect public health.
Mr. President, should people continue to wear masks on planes?
That's up to them.
In a ruling announced Monday, a Florida judge said the CDC lacked the authority to issue such a mandate. Within hours, most airlines and transit systems announced they would no longer enforce the rule.
After 2 years, a lot of people are just used to wearing masks, so they'll probably stick with it.
Face coverings had been required on planes, trains, and buses since January of 2021. The order was recently extended through May 3rd.
I heard last night that it is no longer in effect, and I just want to scream and tell everybody, take those masks off.
Well, I personally liked flying with a mask while everything was going on, so I was wearing my mask today, and I will continue wearing it.
Officials in New York and Philadelphia said local mask laws are still in place. Travelers would still have to wear masks inside both cities' airports. The mask rule will also remain in place in New York City's subway. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
To date, the coronavirus has claimed more than 954,000 lives in the United States. More than 17,000 of those deaths have come in the past month. Around 15,300 have died in Kentucky. United Airlines now says it will allow passengers banned for not following mask rules to fly again on a case-by-case basis. The announcement comes after the new mask rules for planes and other public transport. Since the start of the pandemic, United has banned about 1,000 flyers for refusing to follow the mandate. In a statement, the airline said it will let some banned passengers fly after, quote, ensuring their commitment to follow all crew member instructions on board. If you know a young adult who is interested in a paid summer internship, then Prosper Appalachia could help. The organization works with people ages 16 to 24 who are at risk of falling behind on their education or struggling in their career. They want to break down barriers stopping people from succeeding.
It's not just about giving them a work experience, it's also about giving them skill building, professional development. We have a huge focus on entrepreneurial training, not necessarily how to teach young people how to write a business plan, but more like the entrepreneurial mindset.
The organization works closely with its partners like FAHI, Save the Children, and Partners for Education.
Well, we did see the return of sunshine today. The only issue is it stayed chilly. Temperatures around the region barely made it into the 50s in many spots. And as they drop tonight, we're going to have to keep an eye on the sensitive plants. Frost advisories and freeze warnings in effect throughout the region tonight as we continue to watch temperatures tumble through the 30s. Hideout camera at UVA-Y is all is quiet on the campus, but we remain in the upper 30s. London Corbin Airport sits at 41, all quiet right now. We're slowly dropping those temperatures into the 30s tonight. We're going to continue to see that through the overnight. Winds have calmed down, not a ton of moisture, and clear skies. That equals the potential for frost and freeze conditions. Mid-30s for many, but some of those locations could drop into the freezing territory. Now, I'll have the very latest on when we could see 80s back in the forecast. Yes, 80s coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Well, Buc-ee's is officially open now in Richmond. The Travel Center opened this morning at 6, and people showed up and dressed up for the occasion. Grayson Passmore talked to some people who traveled hours and from states away to be there.
So she was telling me about, hey, there's this place called Buc-ee's, and so we went to the one in Georgia, and next thing you know, we've been to a few, and yeah, it's a fun experience, and so of course we came down here for the grand opening.
There's fuel pumps, but don't call it a gas station. There's easy and quick shopping, but definitely don't call it a convenience store either. So what is this larger-than-life place that draws crowds of thousands?
It really is just an experience I can't describe, to be honest.
Virgil Martin traveling 3 hours before the sun was up to be at the Richmond Buc-ee's when the doors first opened at 6 a.m.
We went traveling last year for vacation, and on our vacation we went through Texas and seen Buc-ee's.
So why the fanfare?
Anticipation of it being open.
What draws me in, it's just really an experience, to be honest.
Richmond Mayor Robert Blythe has one way to describe it.
The term was groupie. There are those people who follow Buc-ee's.
And they eagerly followed the Beaver all the way to the First Kentucky location in Richmond.
And this will bring into Richmond certainly folks from the interstate. There are folks who are working here in management and so on who have literally moved into our community.
More than 200 jobs have been created. If Mayor Blythe hasn't taken a door greeter position himself.
I stood at the door after we opened the doors, and I was saying to the folks who were coming in, good morning, welcome to Buc-ee's, welcome. I thought, Robert. Yeah.
But once you're inside,
I told them when they saw me come to the door, somebody tackle me, because when I come into this place, I've already looked at the fudge, I've had some of the chopped brisket.
It's easy to see why so many people love it here. At Buc-ee's, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
Looks like quite a place. I've never been to one, but I'll eventually get to the one in Richmond, I'm sure. Buc-ee's is open 24/7. This is one of the 3 locations that will be opening in Kentucky, Richmond being the closest to us. The others are Smiths Grove near Bowling Green and Oak Grove near Hopkinsville. Plans to build a Knox County sports complex were announced today. The judge executive announced the purchase of 88 acres of land from the Barberville Utility Commission off Kentucky 225. It's expected to include baseball and softball fields in the first phase and eventually walking trails, a sensory playground, amphitheater, batting cages, a non-motorized boat ramp to access the Cumberland River, and more. The project is expected to wrap up with a 50,000 square foot indoor facility. No word on when construction could begin. Folks in Johnson County are getting a head start on spring cleaning this week. City officials are celebrating Spring Cleanup Week, April 18th through the 22nd in Paintsville, and are offering a one-time free trash pickup for items that cannot be put in the usually weekly trash runs. Some things are still prohibited, such as tires, construction materials, or paint cans, but large appliances or furniture will be taken to Apple Valley Sanitation at no cost. Apple Valley Sanitation owner Charles Lust says this week is a great way to not only start your spring cleaning, but also to focus on the importance of keeping communities clean.
It's important for our counties to be clean so that we can attract tourism, we can attract new businesses, and we can have pride in our community, a community that people want to be in.
Paintsville Mayor Bill Migrunion also said it's important to keep the city clean, and it's an honor to be able to offer this service. It may not be a good idea to count on cheaper gas for your summer travels. Prices at the pump are on the rise again. Gas prices had been falling slowly during the past several weeks after Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent them spiking last month. The average price for a gallon of gas bottomed out at $4.07 last week. It had risen 3 cents by Tuesday. Experts warn uncertainty in Ukraine and typical price increases seen during the summer could continue to put upward pressure on fuel prices, but they also point out the oil market is changing rapidly and prices can move sharply and quickly in either direction. If you go to Heritage Kitchen in Whitesburg and notice that a certain turkey or ham dish is no longer on the menu, there's a reason why. Price increases in turkey and ham caused the restaurant's owner and manager, Brad Shepard, to redo their menu, even replacing some of the turkey items with other meat substitutes.
With any place of business, the last thing you want to do is raise prices to your customers. You always run that risk of alienating people or having to say, well, I can get that cheaper somewhere else. But you do what you got to do. It's either that or close the doors. And right now, that does not seem like an option for us.
Shepard adds that he's staying on top of any price changes and will adjust the restaurant's menu accordingly. Several Republican-led states, including Kentucky, are passing a wave of new abortion laws, making sweeping changes to restrict abortions. This as the country awaits a critical Supreme Court ruling on the issue later this year. CNN's Jessica Snyder reports.
There you go.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the latest Republican to roll back abortion rights.
This will represent the most significant protections for life that have been enacted in this state in a generation.
Florida, now the third state, along with Arizona and Kentucky, to ban most abortions after 15 weeks. And in Oklahoma,
this is what democracy looks like.
Protests flared after lawmakers approved a near total ban on abortion.
We want to outlaw abortion in the state of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's new law makes performing an abortion a felony, punishable by up to 10 years in state prison, a fine of up to $100,000, or both, with no exceptions for rape or incest. Abortion rights advocates there argue that this crackdown was ushered in by the Supreme Court's inaction.
Oklahoma has been moving some of the most aggressive bans and restrictions that we've seen. And in the past, we've been able to rely on the court as a backstop to block some of the most egregious laws they've proposed. But we know that's not true anymore.
Last year, the Supreme Court refused to step in to stop a Texas law that bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy, allowing private citizens to sue to enforce the law. In response, at least 8 other states moved to enact similar bills, with Idaho becoming the first to implement a so-called heartbeat bill, since it bans most abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected.
Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay.
The Supreme Court is now poised to issue what could be its most consequential decision on abortion in nearly 50 years. The justices will issue a ruling by the end of June on a Mississippi law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks. If the Supreme Court lets the law stand, which states like Florida, Arizona, and Kentucky are betting it will, that would gut the precedent set by Roe v. Wade and Casey that the Constitution protects a woman's right to abortion, and that right is protected from most state interference before 23 or 24 weeks. It's also possible the Supreme Court could strike down Roe v. Wade completely, clearing the way for states to ban abortion outright.
I think we're going to see, virtually no matter what the Supreme Court does in the Mississippi case, this overnight seismic shift in abortion access in a large chunk of the country, and that those consequences are going to be felt most harshly by people living in those states who lack the means to leave those states if and when they need an abortion.
Some Democratic governors are already fighting back. Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer is suing to challenge that state's abortion ban that would go into effect if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, experts conducting a new study say surgeons rocking out to music in the operating room improves surgical performance.
And it's getting even warmer as we head through the rest of the work week. The very latest details are on the way next.